The common thread throughout the hymns that celebrate this feast day is that in the birth of the Holy Lady, the Theotokos, the Panagia, the curse has been lifted. And if we examine more clearly and specifically, it is not the entire curse of humanity, although through her the curse has been lifted in full because of the work, the crucifixion, the resurrection, the presence in our midst of Jesus Christ. But a specific curse is spoken of. The curse that is laid on the woman who first fell into sin and on all her daughters throughout the generations is lifted in the Holy Panagia. And in reflecting on this reality, we must consider first what are the words of the curse. Because when the Lord finds the man and the woman and the serpent in the garden, he first asks the man what happened. And the man blames the woman. And he asks the woman what happened. And the woman blames the serpent. So the Lord first curses the serpent, speaking both to the animal and to the evil spirit, Satan, our enemy, who had taken control of the serpent. And then he speaks to the woman, and then finally to the man. To the woman he says, in sorrow, or rather we must begin with the serpent, because he says, cursed is the ground, you shall go on your belly and eat dust, and I shall set enmity, he says, between the woman and you, between her seed and your seed. You shall bruise his heel, and he shall bruise your head. And then to the woman he says, in sorrow you shall bear children, and in great travail, and your desire shall be to your husband, and he will rule over you. And then to the man he says that the ground is cursed, and he will eat of it in sorrow all his days, only with great labor, until he returns to the earth, because he is from the earth, and to the earth he must return. So, setting aside the serpent for a moment, the curse on the man is lifted because our Lord becomes a curse for us, and he is buried beneath the surface of the earth, fulfilling himself this prophecy that he is of the earth, and to the earth he returns, but he does not remain in the earth, and therefore in him the curse is perfectly and finally broken. The Virgin Mary, and in even the curse to the serpent, we hear speaking of her bearing of children, of her seed, her descendants, having an enmity with the one who had led them into temptation. And here is where we see something profound. The entire reason that the Virgin Mary was born was in order to fulfill this prophecy that is contained in the curse, that the seed of the woman, which is to say, the son of Panagia, the new Eve, as the fathers of the church have said, would overturn the curse. But it is not only this prophecy from the curse. Throughout the entirety of the Old Testament, we see in the law that all the effort of family, of marriage, all the expectations of the Hebrew people, the people of God, the people of the covenant, all of these are anticipating one thing, and this is the coming of the Messiah. So marriage is not built in the law to be a union of a man and a woman in cooperation and equal self-emptying and love. Marriage is built simply to bear children who will know that they are descended from the people of the covenant, and in whom righteousness may be seen to grow, and one day the Messiah might be born. In short, because I am getting lost in my texts, the entire reason Panagia exists is in order to bear Christ. The entire reason that the Lord calls his people out of Egypt is in order that one day Panagia may be born to bear Christ. The entire reason that God calls Abraham out of Haran, out of Mesopotamia, and promises to him that his descendants will be a great nation is so that Panagia may one day be brought forth and bear Christ. The entire reason that Adam and Eve are created in the garden is so that one day their descendant may give birth to Christ. The entire reason that this creation is made is so that one day God may enter into it through a vessel of free will and love, the Holy Panagia, and unite himself, the Creator, with this creation. On this day, hidden in these complex ideas about texts and prophecies and curses and fulfillments, is the deep and central reality of our being. We exist to be united with God. It is for this alone that he has created us and all things. And the feast that we celebrate today is the righting of that ship, the restoration of that purpose, the healing of the wound that seemed to have destroyed our capacity to be united with God. Therefore, when the fathers speak in their hymns that today creation is renewed, it is not hyperbole, it is not an exaggeration. They speak simply and clearly. Today, humankind is set back on the path. Today, creation is brought back into communion with its Creator, because today the means of the Lord's entrance into the creation is born as the long-awaited fulfillment of the promise of our very existence. And we are not merely called today to reflect on this, to marvel, to muddle through the texts and the confusion of the preacher, perhaps. We are not called merely to look at Panagia and say, wow. We are called to understand that she is not only the exception, the one human being from all centuries and millennia who could be chosen. She is the example. She is the prototype. How she is in relationship with her Son and our Lord and our God, we all are called to be. In humility, in prayer, in patient expectation, in love, we are called to bear Christ, to become like him, to become one with him. This is why we are here. We are here to offer ourselves to God as he offers himself to us in Holy Communion. Therefore, let us stand and let us continue the liturgy.